Tonight, let us walk back through time to a world wrapped in silence and ice. A place where the wind tells stories older than cities and the footprints of giants were slowly covered by white. This is the Ice Age, a time when mammoths roamed cold plains, when humans learned to warm themselves against a cruel sky, and when the Earth itself shifted in slow, glacial breath. For the next minutes, I will guide you gently through that frozen world, its animals, its people, its silent landscapes, and the slow changes that led life to survive and transform. Close your eyes if you wish. Breathe in slowly. Breathe out. Let the hush of ancient ice smooth your thoughts as we begin. The Ice Age was not just one frozen moment in time. It was a long chapter in Earth's history, a period when vast sheets of ice covered much of the planet's surface. Glaciers stretched for thousands of miles, sculpting mountains, carving valleys, and reshaping the land. The air was colder, the days were shorter, and the world was quieter. This era began about 2.6 million years ago and came to an end only 11,700 years ago. But its marks remain etched into the very face of our planet. The Ice Age was not a silent desert of ice. It was a world alive with struggle, adaptation, and survival. Imagine a vast, snowy plain under a pale winter sun. Far in the distance, you see them, enormous woolly mammoths, their shaggy brown fur swaying in the cold wind, their curved ivory tusks gleaming faintly in the light. They move slowly, in herds, searching for tough grass hidden under layers of snow. Nearby, smaller but still massive creatures, woolly rhinoceroses, graze carefully, using their horns to break the frozen ground. In the shadows of the icy cliffs, a more dangerous predator waits, the saber-toothed cat. Its teeth are long, sharp, almost like daggers, and it watches patiently for the weak or the young to stray from the herd. This was a time when size and strength often meant survival, but even the strongest could fall to hunger, cold, or a well-placed strike from a predator. Humans were here too, not as we are today, but as early hunters and gatherers, wrapped in thick animal skins, their faces weathered by the biting wind. They lived in small groups, seeking shelter in caves or huts built from bones and hides. Fire was not just warmth, it was life. The soft glow of flames meant safety from predators, and a place to cook the hard, frozen meat that kept them alive. Tools were made from stone, bone, and wood, carefully shaped by patient hands. A single sharp blade could mean the difference between eating and starving. Hunting was dangerous, but cooperation gave them a chance. Men and women worked together, planning their movements, reading the tracks in the snow, like a story written on the land. The earth itself looked different. So much water was trapped in ice that the seas were lower, almost 120 meters lower than today. Coastlines stretched farther out, revealing land that is now hidden beneath the waves. Massive ice sheets blanketed North America, Europe, and Asia. Between Siberia and Alaska, a land bridge emerged, the Bering Land Bridge, allowing humans and animals to cross between continents. The wind was constant, carrying tiny ice crystals that glittered like dust in the sunlight. Forests were smaller, and much of the world was covered in grasslands called steppe tundra, a cold, dry ecosystem where only the toughest plants could grow. Each day was a battle against time and temperature. In the mornings, the sky might be painted in pale pink and blue, but the cold was sharp enough to freeze water in minutes. Hunting trips could last for days, requiring quiet footsteps and sharp eyes. A single successful hunt could feed a group for weeks, but failure meant hunger, and hunger in the Ice Age was deadly. At night, the stars shone brighter than most of us have ever seen, unclouded by pollution or city lights. Families would gather around fires, telling stories, passing down knowledge from one generation to the next. They spoke of the spirits of animals, of the dangers that lurked in the dark, and of the hope for warmer days. Not every creature survived the Ice Age. Many species we see today, like the modern elephant or the bison, are smaller descendants of the giants that once walked the earth. Others, like the mammoth and the saber-toothed cat, disappeared forever. Some scientists believe human hunting played a role. Others think sudden climate change was the final blow. Perhaps it was both. The Ice Age, like all chapters in Earth's story, had to end, but its ending was as mysterious as it was dramatic. Around 11,700 years ago, something began to change. The icy winds grew softer, the endless snow began to melt, feeding rivers and lakes that surged across the land. The great glaciers, which had taken thousands of years to form, started to retreat, slowly at first, then faster and faster. The sound of cracking ice echoed across the valleys, as if the earth itself was awakening from a long sleep. For the animals, this was both a gift and a challenge. New grasslands appeared, forests spread, and the world grew greener. But the giants of the Ice Age, the mammoths, the woolly rhinos, the saber-toothed cats, found themselves in a world that no longer suited them. The warmth that gave life to some brought extinction to others. Scientists still debate what truly ended the Ice Age. Some say it was a natural cycle of the Earth's orbit, slow shifts in distance from the Sun that changed the planet's climate over thousands of years. Others point to massive volcanic eruptions, filling the skies with ash and altering global temperatures. And then there is the Younger Dryas theory, a sudden, almost shocking return to cold temperatures, possibly caused by a comet or asteroid impact. If true, this would mean that just as humans were beginning to settle and farm, they faced another sharp twist in nature's plan. Some ancient legends, from Native American tribes to Norse myths, speak of fire from the sky and great floods that followed. Perhaps these stories are memories passed down from those who survived. As the ice retreated, humans began to spread across the globe more quickly than ever before. They followed the rivers and coastlines, fishing, farming, and building the first villages. The land bridge between Siberia and Alaska vanished beneath the rising seas, cutting off direct paths between continents. The Great Hunt was ending, replaced by a new chapter, the dawn of agriculture. But the skills and stories from the Ice Age would remain, shaping human culture for thousands of years. As the glaciers melted, sea levels rose, not slowly, but in massive surges that swallowed entire coastlines. Islands appeared where once there were mountains. Continents shrank. For those living at the edges of the ice, the world seemed to change overnight. Imagine standing on a cliff and watching the sea creep closer each day. For ancient people, this might have felt like the work of gods or the punishment of nature. Today, we still see the marks of the Ice Age in the carved valleys, the smooth stones left by glaciers, and in the DNA of animals and humans alike. We carry its legacy in our bones, in the stories we tell, and in the way we adapt to change. The Ice Age was not just a time of cold. It was a test of endurance, a reminder that life survives by changing, and that even the harshest winters eventually give way to spring. The Ice Age, a chapter of our planet's story, written in frost and wind, in the slow march of glaciers, and in the quiet strength of life. For thousands of years, ice ruled the earth, shaping mountains, carving valleys, and testing every living creature. Now it exists only in the remnants, the frozen lands of the Arctic and Antarctica, the fossils deep beneath our feet, and the ancient stories whispered across generations. When we look at a woolly mammoth skeleton in a museum, we are not just seeing bones. We are seeing the shadow of an entire world that once was. Picture the last cold night before the great thaw. A small band of humans sits around a fire, the flames flickering against the cave walls. Outside, the wind carries the final snow of the age. Somewhere in the distance, a mammoth trumpets into the darkness, perhaps for the last time. These people do not know they are living at the turning point of history. To them, tomorrow is just another day to survive. But for us, looking back, it is the dawn of a new era, one that would lead slowly to cities, to technology, and to the very moment you are listening to this story. The Ice Age reminds us of a truth. Change is constant. Worlds can vanish, and yet life adapts, endures, and begins again. The rivers that run today were once locked in frozen silence. The soil beneath your feet may have been buried under ice. The human heart still carries the resilience forged in that ancient cold. Tonight, as you drift towards sleep, imagine the sound of the wind across an endless, frozen plain. The crunch of snow beneath heavy steps, the glow of firelight against the walls of a shelter. Somewhere beyond the horizon, the first green shoots of spring are pushing through the melting snow. The Ice Age has ended, but in the quiet corners of the world, and in the quiet corners of your mind, it still lingers, a memory frozen in time. Thank you for listening and for traveling with me through the frozen chapters of our planet's history. If you've made it this far, you are truly part of this journey. Your support means the world to me. If you enjoyed this story, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. It helps me create more documentaries like this, and together, we can reach our next goal of 500 subscribers. Until next time, may your nights be calm and your dreams timeless.